What's going on, YouTube, family, and friends? Welcome to Reviews from the Six. My name is Cedric, but you can call me Ceddy Said. You already know what to do, y'all. Hit that subscribe button if you're tribe. Make sure you hit that like button so YouTube can share the content. Make sure you leave me a comment. Have you read the Willie Lynch letter and Making of a Slave? And let me know what do you think about this type of content at that. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads that'll be coming soon because we dropping heat, baby. Without further ado, I am here to give you a quick review and impressions of the Willie Lynch letter and Making of a Slave. So where do I begin, right? What made me pick this book up? I'll start there. So on social media, you would always see the Willie Lynch, or you would see Willie Lynch everywhere. Oh, that's Willie Lynch syndrome, or he's the next Willie Lynch, or that government is the Willie Lynch, you know? I would see it so much, but I'm like, who is really Willie Lynch? So I went on Amazon and typed in Willie Lynch, and this came up actually. And they were supposed to be letters. I thought they were letters, and they say they're letters, but you know, I don't know if I totally agree with that. However, it is still useful and beneficial that I got my eyes on this. So my interpretation of Willie Lynch before getting this was, you know, a sellout. I thought that's what it was. You know, I thought it was a master who has a slave, and the slave is just totally obedient to the master due through his cruel acts, right? Through, how can I put it? Through capital punishment, right? Teaching them obedience. That's what I always thought it was. But when I read this, I did not know it was deeper than that. It is a psychological warfare, y'all. And it ate me up inside just reading this because Willie Lynch comes into town, right? Comes into town and he can smell the dead black bodies that are hanging from trees. And that made him livid to the point where when he gave this speech, he brought that up. He said, 50 miles away from this property, I can smell the dead Negroes hanging from your tree. Do you know how that brings down the value of your property? Listen to that. That's what upset me the most, y'all. Like, this man did not care that it was people of color, black people, Africans hanging from the trees, dead bodies hanging from the trees. He was more focused on the property value and how that destroys the image of the white settler. Man, it would. Okay, so without further ado, I want to go ahead and read the back to you. So, who brought the slaves to America is the question, right? And it says here, I am a black man, but I am under the spell of a white man. So, like I said, that does kind of play into what I thought it was, right? Like I said, a white man using his influence and capital punishment to enslave people of color or Africans at that point in time. So it did tie into there. So the spell of a white man, the master, who put me under his spell that I may no longer dream. And when I dream, I cannot wake up. Help me, help me. This Willie Lynch thing got us down for so long enough to wipe grandpa out, place my daddy under house arrest. And for me, I don't even know what to say or where to start. Who built the distilleries in Newport? Right? So that's another question that's on the synopsis. My dreams have been shattered and my future molested. Yes, I am under the spell of Willie Lynch. Somebody help me. No, forget about me. Help my son. Somebody. Anybody. Please rescue my son from this vicious psycho. Don. Oh yeah, so I wanted to say that too. So it does say a making of a slave. So this was pretty much the Bible to slave owners, the Willie Lynch letters. And it goes, I mean, y'all, it's short. The book is only 28 pages. Okay, it's too bright. The book is only 28 pages, but the stuff in here is just so evil. So one of the things I wanted to address, and like I said, this is more so of a review and an impression, not just a strict review on the book or the letters itself. I just wanted to tell you my interpretation of it, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, what upset me, so forth, to open a conversation. Online, I would see a lot of black men blame their mothers for them being sensitive or not having a father, I should say, or not acting like a man. I can't find the right words, but I always see it worded like that, right? Oh, the black woman allowed the white man to take the man out the house so the government can be the father to her child. And I get it. I totally get it, y'all. But I will not say that is the reason why a lot of these black males aren't in the home or raising their children. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. And same thing for the women, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that the women are making the right decisions and the males are belling. Women make bad decisions too when it comes to baby making. Y'all, I'm going to keep it real. But the way they had the black woman scared for the males in her life, her husband, her son, her father, her uncles, her cousins, is nerve-wracking, y'all. So before you sit there and blame a black woman for, you not getting a drum set on Christmas or having the best education in the world, take a time out and understand the war that was taken up against her, right? They referenced the black woman as being a horse or a cattle. She's a stallion. All she's supposed to do is give birth to a bigger, better, stronger child. And of course, you guys already know how that happens, right? They transport the male for breeding purposes from plantation to plantation. And that's another reason I wanted to talk about this too, is that I am not going to sit here and say that the reason why the black male isn't in the household is because of Willie Lynch syndrome and because we went from plantation to plantation. I've also seen that in, pro-black communities where they're saying, oh, well, that's why we do the things we do because of slavery. Okay, I get it. But there is no excuse in 2022 to still have this type of mentality, even though it's deep. Now, some of you will say, well, Cedric, you just said it was a spell. Yes. And we have generational curses we are still breaking. But that does not give you the excuse to blame your mother or the black woman for you being who you are. Okay. Anyways, getting back into it, right? So they had the mother scared that they would take her husband away. So of course she would obey Massa. Please don't take him away. I'll do whatever you want me to do, right? When it came to the children, she would see how Master would treat her husband and her brothers, the way they would beat him, the way they would take their masculinity away from him in front of the entire community. You know what I mean? In front of the entire plantation, just sodomize them. Right? So she was scared. So what she would do anything and everything she could do to protect that child, which meant telling that child to obey. Right? That's so hurtful because as a person, when something is wrong, when something isn't right, when you should fight back. In this case, she couldn't fight back because she was scared they would take her child away. Right? That they would beat the child, that they would rape the child, right? They were scared of these things. They even made it to where they were saying, the black female is a thoroughbred, not the male. You don't have to break the male. You have to break the woman. And Willie Lynch did everything he could to break the woman. Now, some of these photos in here are very graphic and detailed, which I kind of don't want to show, especially the language, but I'll show you this here. They even have the breaking process of the African woman. I mean, they go into ways how they talk about, tying her to a tree, taking away feminine hygiene, back to having her scared for her child, having her scared for her husband. They did so much cruel things to the black women. And that's what just upsets me when I see these things in these groups, y'all. And I'm sorry I keep going back to that, but it's in my review, And they go everything from, captivity to punishment. And I'll be honest with you guys, after reading this, I felt more connected to our black women, like protect our black women. Like there's nothing in here that has to do with the male. Period. I mean, you have a couple things in here where they try to break the male, but the only way they were to break the male were to beat him, castrate him, take away his manhood. That was the only way, sodomize him. But with the woman, it was psychological. With the male, it was physical. So the Willie Lynch letter was strictly for the black woman. And even on the cover, right, you see it's a woman. It's not a man, bro. It's a woman. And that's what I took off from, making a slave. And that's, for me, what contradicts the back of the book or the synopsis, because he says, I am a black man. We need to stop focusing on the black man and focus on the black woman, because that's what the Willie Lynch letter was designed to do. Break the woman, you break the foundation for the entire African community and base. All you have to do is make the male seem feminine. That's all you got to do, right? And that's one thing they did with the males, is make them more feminine, right? After they would sodomize the male sometimes would like it and he would come back for more, right? They would put him in dresses because he had a harsh reality, because he slaved in the fields for so long, because he would get beat. He wanted to be loved, and they showed him that type of love, and he assumed that the sodomize was the love. So my review with this book is that even though it was short, it was powerful. It is going to provoke some emotions on you. It is going to get some thoughts out of you. But at the end of the day, it's a great read just to understand what you went through and what we continue to go through, and the war that we have to wake everybody up to remind them that we are still in a fight. So with that being said, that's my review and impressions of the Willie Lynch letter and Making of a Slave. If you get the opportunity, make sure you hit that subscribe button, become tribe. Make sure you hit the like button also too, because if you don't like it, then YouTube won't promote the video essentially. Also make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads or future content. And also make sure you share the video to any and all social media platforms, especially where you think they can be useful. With that being said, my name is Cedric. Thank you for stopping by and joining me for this review. Peace, love, and blessings.